during these times though, y'all still going to church.
Yeah.
Y'all still. So, how did you? What was your heart at with God and all of this? Was you even like, there is no God? Was you like where was you at spiritually? All of this stuff happened and you showing up Sunday. You of course they're singing songs, the pastor's preaching, and all of this stuff going on. Like, where was you?
Not there at all. A lot of times it went in one ear and out the other. Like, I wasn't paying attention at all. I was going because I had to, not because I had any desire. And I've always believed in God, but I had no idea what a relationship with Him looked like. I had no idea, what that would do for me. And I didn't care at the time. I really didn't care at all. I wasn't worried about it. I was worried about, numbing the pain. But yeah, in church, I would just simply be existing. I wasn't giving any thought to, what was being said, the pastor talking. I wasn't giving any thought to any of that. And eventually, it got to a point where I was like, I'm not going no more. Like, I ended up fighting it. And I stopped. And then he stopped, which means my mom stopped. So that also leads me to believe that, again, that was really just a persona he was putting on in the beginning, yeah, that was just a persona that he was putting on as far as, being a man of God and wanting all these things, a family and things like that. And it really wasn't, he wasn't. He was consumed by, evil.
Okay, so, wow. So we talked about, so we understand how this situation not only affected you, but affected your mom. And it just affected you guys both in a lot of different areas, spiritually, of course, your mental well-being, physically, because I'm pretty sure too, this stuff going on, I'm pretty sure you don't feel the best about yourself. Probably insecure about probably a lot of stuff. So physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and it's been going on now, going on 3 years. You and your mom relationship done kind of fizzled to bad. Y'all done all stopped going to church. He has these drinking habits, smoking habits, drug habits, porn addictions, and seems like, the spirits that was in him has now manifested in you. Literally, all of the things that he was addicted to now has become in you. Because even when you talk about doing things with people your age, now you're chasing, now you have a desire to practice sexual morality. Now you have these desires that you would have never ever had prior to this happening. So this also too talks about the power of exposing people to things and the power of, sex, of a man going inside of a woman. It's just not a physical thing that goes on, but there's a big spiritual thing that's involved in that. So we talked about a lot. You have shared a lot. How did this come? I'm pretty sure now you're 23, your mom knows about this.
Yeah.
All right? So how did this come to an end? What happened for all of this stuff to be revealed? And then after you talk to us about that, I'll follow up and ask you, what did you start doing to heal and to overcome all of this stuff? So please share.
So this is really the beginning of the end, and I remember this day so vividly. So at this point, he's super careless. And again, I'm 15 years old at this point when this incident happened. So he got so careless because this was also the first time that he ever tried anything while my mom was in the house as well as awake. And so, it's late at night and I'm making dinner. I'm making myself dinner. And my mom's in the shower. And my room's on one half of the house, and theirs is kind of close to the kitchen. So you can hear when the shower's running, and you can hear when it turns off, all of that, because it was pretty close, proximity. And so I'm making my dinner, and he's in the living room, and, watching his show or whatever. And I just remember he got up, and he came over to me, and, he was like, basically, get ready. And so the way that it was built, so it's the room, the kitchen's right next to the room where my mom's showering, and then it's a little bit of a wall, like that blocks the kitchen and the living room off. So we go behind that wall, behind the wall of the kitchen, and, he pulls down his pants and, fully like penetrates, mind you. So I'm just, bent over behind this wall, and I just remember the TV was so loud, trying to cover the sound of sex, that he didn't take into account that her mom was still awake and she's in the shower. Like, yeah, the room was close and like you can hear the shower running from the kitchen, but he didn't take that into account. And so at this point, we're still going, and she gets out the shower, and I just remember like hearing the door to the room like just creak. And so obviously she's coming out, and you fully got your pants down and I fully had my pants down. So I'm like, a part of me was scared that she's about to find out, but a bigger part of me was almost relieved and happy that she's finding out, like she's about to witness what's going on, something, because, if she even sees, a little bit, like I already knew that was gonna be enough, whether our relationship was terrible at that point in time or not. I knew she wasn't gonna have it, so I was almost relieved and just happy, like, yeah, he was so careless, like, we caught him off guard, basically. He was so careless that it's about to come to an end. So, she comes around the corner, and because I'm in the corner, she doesn't see me at first, so I'm already clothed at this point, like, but she sees him, buckling up his pants, and then sees me in the corner. So obviously, she put two and two together and started going off, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you buckling your pants? Why is she over here? Why are y'all over here? Why are you so close? Why are you buckling your pants? Like, what just happened? Like, tell me. So I get out the way, because I'm like, this all you, buddy. I'm like, this is all you. Now it's your time to shine. So you tell her what's really going on. So I move out the way, but I'm out the way because I started crying, but I didn't want her to see that at first. I didn't want her to see that, because that just would have added fuel to the fire. And I was just waiting. I didn't want to be the one to say anything. I wanted it to all come out, and I wanted him to say what he did. I wanted that. But of course he denied. Oh, I was just fixing my pants, and he was just making up excuse after excuse and just denying. But she's like pressing him like, you are about to tell me what the hell just happened, because I'm not stupid, I'm not dumb. So at this point they're yelling at each other back and forth. And I'm over here, I'm witnessing, and I'm like, okay, this is what's going on. It's not really going anywhere, but I'm just crying. And it got to a point where, I don't know when, but I think she knew it wasn't gonna end well, because she ended up calling my brother to, like, you need to get over here before stuff gets real. And I remember, she didn't have to say anything. She didn't have to give any details, because at the end of the day, one of us called them. My brothers are gonna come, and they don't care, what you did, but you hurt us, you gonna get hurt. So I remember, she ended up calling them, and again, they're yelling back and forth, so they obviously know something's going on. They just don't know what. But they are on the way now. And at this time, both my blood brothers came, and they lived a little bit away, about 30 minutes away from us. So it took a little minute, but in the meantime of all this, she's still yelling and screaming and like, tell me what's going on, what has been going on, like, what are you doing? But again, he's steady denying. And in the midst, I'm still around, so at this point she's like begging me to tell her, but I'm not saying anything, I'm just crying. I wasn't about to be the one that said anything. I wanted it to come out of his mouth, so he can hear back himself. And so it just escalates from there, and it's just a screaming match. And I guess at this point my brothers are about to pull up, so she's like, Kaylah, go pack your stuff, because this is over with, like, we're out. And so I said, yes, ma'am. I went to my room, packed my stuff, which was just some clothes, I didn't really have packed too much, but I get my stuff and I go outside, because at this point, my brothers are pulling up, and I just remember, like, at this point I'm still crying and just scared. So at this point, my brothers, they pull up, and immediately, like, they obviously hear the yelling and screaming, because it's escalated that much. And I just remember one had his gun and the other one had his bat. And when I tell you they don't play about us, they really didn't. They didn't care what this man did. They just knew that he hurt us in some way, shape, or form, because the way that my mother was sounding, on the phone, they know it wasn't anything to play with. So, and by this time, I'm telling them, like, don't do nothing stupid. Like, don't do nothing stupid. So, both my mom and her boyfriend at the time, they exit the house now, and she got her stuff. and they're ready to jump on him, asking her like, what's wrong? And all my mom said was, he hurt her. I don't know what he did, but he hurt her. And she was like, take her away, like take her home, keep her safe. But she's still yelling at him at the same time, and now they about to pop off on him. So, yeah, and so I'm just over there, kind of like in between them, in between him and my mom and my two brothers, and I'm just like, everybody chill, like, just chill. Like I don't. All I'm thinking about in that moment is if something really pop off, I'm gonna be left alone because I don't have a father in my life. My mom's gonna go to jail, and both my brothers gonna go to jail. And forget the other two brothers because one's in prison and one, can't get his life together. So, I would really be alone. So as this is happening, I'm thinking about all of that, and I'm like, everybody chill, like. Think about what you're doing. Think about what you're doing. And I'm just telling, all three of them, Mom, think about what you're doing. And I was genuinely like scared because I knew, again, my brothers don't play about us, and they've just always been protectors. And even just knowing that he hurt me, didn't even know to the extent that he hurt me, that he touched me. Like, that's all they knew. That's all she said. And I wasn't about to sit there and explain, everything that was happening and for how long. So I'm just telling them, everybody chill. And it got to a point, he ended up going back inside. The boyfriend ended up going back inside. Because I think he also knew this was done, this was over with. If he keep trying to fight, back, it's not gonna be a good outcome for him. So, he goes back inside, and I just remember I got in the car and I was just bawling. I was just bawling my eyes out. And and so my brothers hopped back in the car. And mind you, it was two. So it was me and my oldest brother, and we were, drove off. Like, my brothers drove separately, so my mom is not even with me, in the car. She's with my other brother. So I don't know how she's feeling or what was going on, but all I know is that the whole ride home, I was bawling, and I kept bawling my eyes out because my brother was trying to pry and like, what's going on? Like, what's been going on? Tell me what's going on. What happened? And I was silent the entire time. Like, I wouldn't say anything. I couldn't say anything. How do I tell my brother that I've been raped for years? How do I, bring that to the table? Because all I know is he's about to turn this car around and unalive this man. Like, I couldn't face that, because also, mind you, at this time, it's a relief that I know that it's about to be over, that it is over, but it's still instilled in my head that you can't tell anybody. No one's gonna believe you. People are, they're gonna hear that and think that, they're gonna look at you and be disgusted. Like, I'm still thinking about those things, so I'm like, bro, it's not even worth, saying anything at this point. So I'm hearing him trying to ask me, what's wrong, what happened, but I also have in my head like, okay, you can't say anything. So from this point forward, we go back to his house and things just settle down, and I just remember like my mom holding me like again and just like almost pleaded with me to like tell her what was going on. And I wasn't talking at that point either because my brothers were there. Like I still wasn't about to say anything, even though I wanted to so bad. I was a little bit relieved. No, not a little bit. I was very relieved to know that we were safe, but I still couldn't talk. So, she's just holding me, and it's been an emotional night, period. So, we kind of sleep it off, and the next day, my brothers went to work, and it just left me and my mom, and that's when she really sat down and was like, please, just tell me what's going on. So even still, I opened up a little bit, but even still, it was, I couldn't even look her in the face and tell her the extent of everything that was going on. And even she couldn't get through hearing it because she was like, I guess feeling guilty in herself, how did she not know? How did she never know? This was going on for years, and well, at this time she doesn't know that, but it happened more than one occasion, and she never knew. So she was emotional herself. I'm sure dealing with her own issues with the situation, and I just remember, her holding me and telling me that I was okay, and I needed to hear that to get what was stuck in my brain, that no one would believe you. People are gonna think you're disgusting. That almost completely took away that thought that he embedded in me. Her just telling me you're okay, you're safe, whatever it is, it's over now, and we're gonna get justice. And so from there, it was just really just figuring out, okay, now we got to get the police involved and this and that. And like I said, at this point, when she's asking me to tell her everything that's happened, I'm telling her bits and pieces. I haven't even told her the full story yet. And so when she mentioned that, getting the police involved, that's when, even though, she was holding me and telling me it's okay, and yes, that, it relieved my mind a little bit, it made me feel better. It's almost like, she never even said that, because as soon as I heard police, it's almost like I heard his voice again. You can never tell anybody. You can, and definitely not the police. So I'm like, oh, this is real. Yeah, I know this happened. Yeah, I know it's wrong. Yes, I want justice, but I'm about everything is about to come out, and I was so afraid because I didn't know how he would react. If he would try to hurt us, I don't know what he would have done, but I know I was scared. And so it came to a point, my mom, she ended up filing whatever she had to file, and I just remember at this point now, I'm 60 years old, and I'm in this interview room, and I just remember, it was such a blur, but I just remember sitting, it was freezing cold in that room. And I was just like running through my head, like, do I lie? Or do I, just go ahead and, it's over with, so spill everything. But I remember battling with that, like, yeah, I told my family, but I really, just to avoid the aftermath of this, just to avoid, the possibility of him coming back and, doing whatever. I just didn't know what the outcome was, and I didn't have any control over that, so I was like really battling with, do I sit up here and lie to these people and say nothing ever happened, like I'm good, or do I not? But I remember this was over a course of time, so this was my very first interview. My very first interview, I denied. I really didn't say too much, but I was like, I didn't say anything that happened. I basically was denying the whole thing. But I think they knew that as well. And my mom was definitely pushing as well, like, no, like, get it out of her, basically, because, this, we're not about to just let this go. Second interview come around, and I'm like, okay, like, you have to, if you want this to end, if you want this to officially be over with, you're out of the situation. If you want any type of justice, like, you have to say something. And so, second interview, that's when I started talking, and I started spilling a little bit of details, but it still wasn't the full story. Up until the third interview that I had, that was the most emotional one, because I was like, at this point, like, it's all or nothing. And even still, like, it was just, like, think about it, 3 years worth of incidents, 3 years worth of memories, 3 years worth of things being told to you, and just so much can happen, so much did happen in 3 years. Like, there was no way, like, I was able to tell the full story even, by that third time, but I told as much as I could. And again, a lot of it was blurred because, that was just myself, soothing myself, trying to not remember trauma. But, I told them as much as I could, and unfortunately, by the end of it, I felt way better, but honestly, they had to serve him. And I just remember, obviously he ended up finding out that, we talked to the police, because he ended up being served. And I just remember, getting a text message from him, and he, I got cussed out, and two, he was so sick. I got cussed out, but at the same time, he was saying, like, it's not too late to run away. Like, you're 16 now. Like, you can either take all that back and wait till you're 18 and we're gonna run away together, or you're 16 now, go get emancipated and, and we'll run away and forget this all ever happened. What? Yeah, and so I was surprised, to say the least, like, that he was still, like, he still thought there was a chance. He still, like, was trying to see how much control he had. But at that point, I was like, no, like, you're crazy if you think that's gonna happen. Like, bro, you actually ruined my life. You ruined our life. And so, but at the end of the day, I hate that it was ruled this way, but state attorney at the time, this is so crazy. The state attorney that we were dealing with when the case was reviewed, mind you, I went through all these interviews, and after that third interview, I had maybe like a 30-minute talk with her because she obviously would have been the one to represent. It would have been, the state, me, because I was a minor at the time, versus him. And in talking to her, it was a quick conversation, maybe like 30 minutes. And she would ask me questions, and again, I told her a little bit of I told her the main point of what was going on, and she didn't believe me. She said, she ruled it as, she said she wasn't gonna take the case, she wasn't gonna pursue anything because it was just a love triangle.
Wow.
It was just a love triangle gone wrong, I was the jealous daughter and, just wanted to be in a relationship with a man, and, it just didn't turn out well. So this is basically my get back.
Wow. That's crazy.
So that crushed me because I was like, bro, like,
almost reliving what he was saying.
exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
Exactly. And so I think after that, because we couldn't do anything further, she wasn't gonna pursue the case at all. And so obviously, we're devastated about that. But we ended up getting order of protections against him and stuff like that. So at least he can't ever come in contact with us. It was he couldn't contact me through online or anything. He couldn't call me, he couldn't text me, and he also the restraining order, so he couldn't be within a certain amount of feet. But that didn't stop him. But with that, with those two orders of protection against us, I think he got 20 days of community service for violating it. 20 days. So, we were forced to move on.